So I was thinking about temptation and what it really is and the purpose of it and the reason for it. And this led me down kind of I'd already been thinking about free will prior to this, but this kind of made me start thinking about free will. So I'm going to touch on these two subjects. Now, temptation it's real, and I'm going to tell you how I have came to the conclusion that it's real and the conclusion I came to on free will. Now, temptation is, you got to be vigilant of it because it will happen, it will pop up, it will occur. I can give you examples over this past year, some of the temptations that has arose for me. I have tried, if you watch any of my other videos, I have tried to become a better person. I mean, this has just been a whole thing. Hardest thing I've ever done. You wouldn't think it would be that hard to become. And when I say better person, I mean try to actually be the person that people can look up to and or want to take advice from, be around. You know, stop lying, don't do harmful things, don't treat people the way you'd want to be treated. These things, and it also comes with a lot of baggage. It's just, it sounds straightforward, but go try to do it. It's not easy at all. And I noticed that as temptations, I would decide to stop doing something, or to get away from this, and temptations just kept popping up and popping up, and I didn't catch it until the last time, and thankfully I caught it and realized what was happening. Now, the examples of this is, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I used to make a ridiculous amount of money doing something that is, I don't want to say it was morally or ethically wrong, but what it turned into at the end was morally or ethically wrong, and I didn't want to really go back into it. And that popped up to me a couple times where I could have took thousands of dollars in the blink of an eye, and it was not the right thing to do. I did not do it. So that's a temptation. That one I didn't go through with. The other ones, though, until the last one, unfortunately, I, for the most part, went along with. So, there was a time where, and it was always the day after, too. Like, I would, like, be deadly serious with myself about what I needed to do and stop doing and lay off of. And then it would always be the next day. I would get a call or a text about, hey, I have this. Hey, I have that. I have some of the best MDMA you'll ever see. I have some of the best coke you'll ever see. And, oh, come over here, man. I got a bunch of beers and some pills. And now, the last time this happened, it was a couple days after I had, if you watch my other video, The Hardest Thing to Do, I had made a complete fool of myself by drinking, acted freaking belligerent beyond belief, and decided I was done. It's been 20 days today since I have not drank, or done anything except smoke. So, seriously, the very next day, I get a text or a message and says, an offer, and it's pretty much like, hey, let me give you a bunch of acid. And if you guys watch me, you know I love me some acid. But the problem with the acid is I had reached a point to it where it was telling me not to take it anymore. Like, I was getting weird anxiety from it. I was taking it too much, and I had realized, though, I would do it, I'd be fine for a week or two, wouldn't do too much craziness, and then I would take it again, and then when I take it, I like to mix it with kratom and alcohol, just because of the effects it gives me and the things I've been able to understand and comprehend, and the being able to see things unfold with that. And then every time I would do that, it would start me drinking a little. I would think I'd have to drink the next day because I felt like crap, because it drains your serotonin levels to a certain extent, and you feel bad for a couple days after, especially if you take high doses. And I was taking high doses, but I caught that, and I was like, I'm not doing that. No. And so this led me to think, what is temptation? What's the purpose for it, and why is it doing that? And I still have not came to an ultimate conclusion on that, but the only thing I can think of is it is a test of some sorts. Like, I think overcoming your mind's a test of some sorts as well, and I think temptation falls in that. So this led me down the road to what is free will, and do you have free will? Because I was thinking, if free will really is just an illusion, it's going to happen the way it's going to happen no matter what. And then I thought about it, and I do not, this is what I've, may be wrong, but this is what I've came to on the free will thing. I do not think that you have free will throughout your entire lifetime. I do think, though, there's a certain point where you do have free will, and then you better choose to do some good things with that free will. And the reason I think this is, throughout my whole life, pretty much, I knew what I needed to do or should do, and it was just like something was holding me back. Every time I tried to go out and do it, it was like something mentally was putting a clutch on me, and it was a vice grip, basically, and it was like I could not do it. Now, when I got plucked out of my life, if you don't know this whole story, you can go check out a video I've made on it. Long story short, feels like I got plucked out of my life, heart broke open, all this stuff. After that, I do think free will became a factor, because those things were not there. But I do think that I don't think people have free will like they think they do. I think they can achieve free will, though, and get free will. But I don't think they have it throughout their whole lifetime. So I do think that once you do get that free will, temptation is a mother. It is. It's everywhere. Well, not everywhere. It's just like it knows when to pop up at the right time and offer you and tempt you with what it knows exactly that you would jump on, if that makes any sense. So it has to be some, I don't want to say a test, because that just seems like weird, but it has to be something similar to a test, I feel like. And I've thought about the free will thing, man. I've thought about that and thought about that. And I am pretty convinced that you do not have free will throughout your entire life. I do think you can get it and achieve it and then go forward and prosper with it. But you got to be vigilant of, again, yourself, your mind, yourself. You got to be vigilant of it and notice the things that it's pulling you towards, gravitating towards, and it's just popping up out of nowhere. Now, isn't it a coincidence that every single time that you try to do something or want to set out to do something, a temptation or a distraction will pop right into place pretty quick right after? Pretty huge coincidence, eh? And then this led me to think, well, what does it mean to live? Because I said this in another video. What does it mean to be alive, to live? What's the purpose of it? Now, I'm a firm believer the purpose of living is just to live. The problem is people are not actually living. They're existing. And that's the huge distinction you need to draw between that is there's a difference between existing and living. So go live. So this is just it's a weird little, I'm not entirely sure why it does this. It's like your mind knows how to try to keep you in it with trying to pinpoint, because it knows everything about you, because it is you. It knows your biggest fears. It knows your desires. It knows everything, and it tries to throw distractions and traps at you based on these. So again, you got to overcome your mind. You have to overcome your mind. There is something up with that to where it is, like I've said this before, it is controlling you, it's controlling your perception on everything, and it's controlling reality as a totality is what it's doing. It is controlling everything. And you have to be very, 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 very vigilant. Watch yourself is my best advice. Watch yourself. That's hard to do. Now, me saying watch yourself is people's not good. unfortunately, this is just the case and the cause of this. You can watch me and I can help you become a better person, but when it comes to stuff like this, you kind of have to know a little bit and know things to actually know what I'm actually talking about, unfortunately. And I can try to go into that and help people with that, but at the end of the day, you got to go out and experience this stuff and know it, and then you'll understand what I'm talking about. But you have to watch yourself, and it's not just as simple as watching yourself. I mean, you have to really observe yourself and notice things. You got to see repetitive cycles. You have to be able to pinpoint it. You have to be able to pinpoint what you're thinking, why you're thinking it. You have to be able to pinpoint things that upset you, things that irritate you, things that, and that's the problem. People, it's not easy to do. You have to go through a bunch of hoops and all this BS before you can actually do it, because the mind is so strong and so woven together that it's just literally controlling everything, and it's hard you have to carefully unweave certain parts to be able to see things. And because normally this is what happens: you start thinking something, you get annoyed, mad, angry, and then you put up a wall. Your mind puts up a wall and it pushes everything out, and then it gets you to focus on that and distracts you. So you have to be able to take the wall down brick by brick by brick and look around and just notice your behavior. Notice what upsets you. Notice things. Because I'm telling you, it's a lot deeper than I originally anticipated or thought. It's what it is. I would like to think, and again, I'm not coming out of a place of ego with this. I'm just telling you brutally up front the truth here. I think I have went further with the human mind than almost anyone I can think of. I mean, and I've really thought about this too, because if you know Carl Jung, he's went pretty deep in it, and I don't think people understand the full gravity of the situation with their mind. I just don't think people do. This thing controls you. What is the mind, though? What is the mind? It's controlling you. It's controlling reality. And it's deeper and more complicated than you can imagine. But the good thing is you can do it, because I've went a pretty long way. I went pretty deep in that fucking thing. And if I can do it, you can do it. So there has to be a way to overcome this thing. There has to be. I feel like I'm doing a fairly good job. But the thing is, it knows everything about you. It knows everything about you. Because notice how it'll use it, and it'll exploit things, and it will tempt you with things. Just notice, be vigilant of this. Be vigilant of thought patterns. Be vigilant of thoughts that come out of fear, out of your biggest fears. Notice that. And notice what it's doing. It's distracting you. It's distracting you. It wants to keep you in the illusion. This is, again, I'm going to end this, but this is what's going on, I feel like. Again, it's a game of form and a play of life. I'm you talking to you. It's just one consciousness, but again, what is consciousness really? You can spend hours trying to figure out what consciousness is. Everyone has a different answer. What I think consciousness is everything. It's everything, because that's all it could be. Everything in your field of sight, including yourself, is consciousness, because it's all held within your consciousness. Could be wrong on that one. But how are there higher forms of consciousness? How are there higher states of consciousness? Different states of consciousness. Hell, heaven, whatever. I mean, you can go up and down it. How, though? How can you do that? Well, I can tell you how to do it, but how is it possible to do that? It's really the bigger question. But all it is seriously, it's a game of forming a play life. I mean, talking to you, it's one consciousness, it's one mind, and it's trying to keep itself in the illusion as long as it possibly can. So I'm going to need you to wake up, okay? I'm going to need you to fully wake the fuck up, like fully wake up. Because what you've been doing is you've been coming close to waking up and then going half asleep. I need you to fully wake up. Fully wake up. And get your priorities straight. And keep them straight. But yeah, just crazy thoughts. Crazy. Looking for the answers, the questions that may not even be possible to get at the end of the day. In this state anyway, or in this form. I believe it's possible. I believe that every answer, every question, there's an answer. And I'm going to find the answers. But, yeah. Talk to you guys later. Love you.